Well, time for a mini ad issue. Chantal and Andrew are here for their thoughts on tonight's debate. Once again, Chantal is in the room where the debate took place. The quick take, compare it to last night, Chantal. What's your view on what happened tonight compared to last night?
Well, compared to last night, the biggest difference, obviously, is the pivotal role that Gilles Duceppe played in this debate. He had the language advantage. He was very much the center of the action, and by and large, he dominated the debates, possibly in the way that Harper did last night. I don't think I've ever seen an NDP leader, including Jack Layton in the past, play as central and as active a role in a Quebec debate, and I think that does reflect the rise of his party, his profile in the province. He did well. He was quite a presence, and probably didn't hurt himself here tonight.
Andrew.
Well, to take up the other two leaders, because I agree with Chantal's points there, I thought Harper was to some extent diminished because he wasn't the center of attention. It's to some extent an advantage to have everyone ganging up on you because it means you're the center of the action. He just looked like one of the four today. Ignatieff, for what it was worth, had a much better night. Spoke to the camera, talked about his platform much more, seemed less angry, less scripted. I think came across much better. He would have wished he'd performed as well in the English debate yesterday.
Give us a sense of whether there was a moment or an exchange that you're left with, because I watched most of it. You watched all of it. It seemed more vigorous to me when I was watching, but that might have been because I was hearing 8 voices through translation, not just 4. But Chantal, an exchange that'll stick with you. What was it?
Without the benefit of translation, Duceppe was the dominating voice. But the exchange that will stick with me was not dramatic, but in the sense of drama. But Michael Ignatieff and Gilles Duceppe went at each other over the Constitution and Quebec's place in it, with Michael Ignatieff arguing it's 2011. I mean, there are other issues that Quebecers care about. Obviously, Gilles Duceppe didn't agree. And I thought Harper had a good moment then because he stepped in and said, see, that they want to build a coalition. There are these old fights together, and here I am. And I thought that was an interesting interchange.
Andrew.
I would probably pick the same interchange. I mean, what was saddening, I suppose, is the degree to which federal politicians have gone out of their way to court and indeed pander to Quebec nationalism and to accept all of the assumptions of Quebec nationalism. It makes them a great disadvantage to try and argue back. And Duceppe, you could see him having a field day with us. He's had these arguments 60,000 times before, but he could always kind of trip them up on that. They weren't willing to take the sort of hardline federalist position, which I'm sure they feel is better for them politically, but it does put them in a disadvantage for actually presenting the case for federalism as opposed to some kind of watered-down confederation.
Chantal, you agree with that?
Well, I'm not sure about the hard federalist position, but certainly there was a lot of dancing to Gilles Duceppe's tune on a number of issues. Now, keep in mind that about 40% of voters vote for the Bloc. The others are fighting for a share of the 60%, the majority that is remaining. The problem that they have is that they do such a good job of splitting it that it allows Duceppe to dominate the province.
All right, going to leave it at that, but there are lots to talk about this week. The two of you and Alan will be back tomorrow night for our regular Thursday night ad issue.